Morning, everybody. No, man. Good morning, everybody. It is indeed a privilege for me to be here speaking to my brethren on the industry or the field that I am in, real estate. Not often we go to church events and we are able to impart information about real estate. Sometimes you're in church and somebody says, I need to talk to you after church about something because we can't discuss this business on Sabbath. And then after church, you don't see the person again, and it's totally slip you until another time, and it's another Sabbath or another. So it's a golden opportunity for me to address our brethren at this camp meeting, and I want to thank the administration for allowing me such an opportunity. I know in your programs you may have seen estate management, which connotates something different, maybe wills and trust. But as I was introduced, it mentioned my specialty, which is real estate. So that word real is missing from your program. So I'm here to talk about real estate. But I wanted to start by just giving you a slight analogy. When I was in public school, I used to have one pair of pants. And you have to go to school 5 days a week. And I had to wear that one pair of pants to school 5 days a week. And let me tell you something. I was embarrassed at times. I used to reach school late. And when I do reach, I sit in the back of the room. But through hard work from my parents and mother, I was able to get a couple more pairs of pants. And guess what? My attitude changed. I started to get to school early. And I sat in the front. You know why? I want everybody to see my new pants. If it's even just that. And I don't know if some of you know about persons or seen persons who are driving cars that they're not too fond of anymore. Because every morning they get up, they have to twist a little wire to get it to start, or they have to pour water in it for it to go. So you see them on the road and them just frumpy and them just drive slow and they get to anywhere, anytime, because they really don't have any urgency. Their attitude is not right. But when they get a new car, church don't have space in the front to hold them. They get to work early. They get to church early. I saw some new cars out here when I came this morning. There was about 5 people in here. So the rest of you that came late, I can understand what you were going through this morning. But there's a difference when it comes down to real estate as well. The attitude has to change. And there is a difference between knocking on the door and saying, hello, I'm home, can you let me in? As opposed to turning your own keys. How that sound? Turn in your own keys. None of us, like Elder Jump mentioned earlier, was found homeless downtown. We had a roof over our heads. But there are different forms of home ownership. Some of us may be renting, some of us may have bought, and some of us may be looking to buy. And as our president alluded to, we are wanting to impart the best ways of home ownership and home living. We need to know how to live and how to carry ourselves as Adventists. The Lord wants us to be very comfortable. We're in the end time, so we don't have many days left. But while we're here, we should be comfortable. And comfortable does not mean that you need to have a 5-bedroom home in Beverly Hills or in Cherry Gardens. A 1-bedroom apartment in a nice community could be sufficient for someone who is living within their means. Are we together? So it doesn't mean that we need to be living outside of our means and doing all manner of things to try to live like the Joneses. Live like yourself and occupy what is comfortable for you. And the Bible actually speaks to it. Jeremiah, and I'm not a preacher, so just bear with me. Jeremiah 29 verse 5, it says, build ye house and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. Plant what? Gardens. Isaiah 65 verse 21, and they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards. What did I say? Plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. You know what these two texts are just simply telling me? Some of us will have a smaller backyard to have the things in the garden. And some of us may be fortunate to have a bigger garden, a bigger yard space that we can have a vineyard. There's a difference in size. But what we're trying to do now is to understand what is right for us. And today I'm just going to touch on 4 different aspects of real estate. And then I will take my seat. Real estate as a buyer, real estate as a seller, real estate as a tenant, and real estate the investment. All right? So let us look at real estate as a buyer. too often I hear my church brethren coming to me and say, look here, I just want to find a little place in a little area, and they feel that that is sufficient. And sometimes when they sit with the professionals such as myself and other real estate practitioners, they realize that after some questions are being asked, they are empowered because they now know of other opportunities that can take them out of an attitude in living in a particular community or in a particular price, at a particular price point, as opposed to the opportunities that are available to us to help us to live comfortably in a different environment. So some of us, we don't know the opportunities that are available to us. And the first thing as a buyer that I want to put you in touch with is the benefits that are offered by the National Housing Trust. Everybody know the NHT, right? National Housing Trust. Now, recently there was an announcement that the benefits from NHT increased to $5.5 million. As a single contributor, if you are contributing to NHT and you have been doing so for over a year and your salary allows, you can qualify for up to $5.5 million. So when my church brethren who are employed come to me and say, you have anything for about $3 million? Why are you limiting yourself to $3 million? We want to be a little bit more comfortable. Have we explored the opportunities at low interest rate for NHT for the money that you have been giving to them all over these years? Have you tested whether or not they will be able to give you $5.5 million? And that changes your mindset from out of $3 million, which are going to be located, houses are going to be located in some communities that are not fit for us to be safe and keep our families. But here's the beauty about it. They allow up to 2 persons to qualify to purchase a home. So if you're fortunate like myself to take on a wife and in some cases a husband, and both of you are employed and both of you have been contributing to NHT, jointly you can now qualify up to $11 million. So when someone comes to me and says, I'm looking for something for $6 million, I'm going to introduce them to low interest rates and to opportunities that are in the 11 million or 11.5 million or 12 million price point, which takes us into different communities. But a lot of us do not know that these opportunities exist. There are also times when young people are trying to purchase properties and they're of the mindset, I will never be able to afford, and it's just me alone. Sometimes our parents, they didn't buy a house because they inherit or they build some time ago and they have their homes and they have never taken up their NHT component. As parents and as children, we can lean on our parents to assist us. There's a program called Parent Assist, where if the parent has been contributing, rather than having that money go to waste, they can now offer a portion of their contribution back to their children to assist them with acquiring their first home. And when I say home, I'm not just speaking about a house. I'm speaking about different types of properties: land, apartment, townhouses, and homes, right? So parents can also assist in getting these things done. Many of us have been contributing to NHT for a long time. We did get our benefit from NHT before, but guess what? You're entitled to what is called a refund. The government, after you contribute your money to NHT, they're offering you what is called a refund. When you are purchasing, you can use that refund that they store up, that sometimes if you don't ask for it, you don't know about it. You can use that refund to help with your down payment, your deposit on a home. Because what they will do now, instead of giving you the cash, they'll give a letter of undertaking to say you're entitled to $300,000. Rather than me giving you the money, we're going to put it towards your down payment of a house. So you're struggling, trying to say, okay, where are we going to find this 10% deposit? NHT, if you have been contributing, not only will you get your 5.5, but if you're entitled to a refund, you can use that refund to be able to fund your deposit and sometimes your closing cost. And just a point, as I said, closing costs. When you're looking at a house and you see it for $10 million, it's not just $10 million. There are fees that you will have to pay for your mortgage, there are fees that you have to pay to your attorneys, and you have to pay some level of taxes as well. And at another session, I will go into some of those details. But these are just some of the benefits that are offered by NHT. If you have contributed to NHT and you got a benefit, after 15 years, you can go back to get a home improvement loan. So you got your 4.5 or 3.5 way back in the days, 15 years ago. But now you want to know, put on another bedroom, and it has been 15 years, you can go to NHT and they will give you up to $5 million to do home improvement as long as your salary can qualify. And that is, again, not at market rate, at low interest rate. So people, brethren, saints, we have $11 million from NHT between two persons right away, and we're looking in the marketplace. But not only that, maybe your salary can go beyond that. You can now look for joint financing from another institution, and we have many of them. We have the famous Jamaica National Building Society, which is now JN Bank. We have Victoria Mutual Building Society. These are all mortgage companies. But not only that, our banks are now competing with those building societies, so the interest rates are now being lowered. So some time ago, we were looking at 17.99% interest rate, and we couldn't afford that. Now I can tell you persons are getting interest rates as a standard 8.29%. And if you are very good and you're very qualified and you have good credit, you can go and negotiate your rate. I know someone who benefited from a 7% interest rate because they are very good. They're empowered, as I would say, or should I say, they have the wherewithal to support that. But the banks, they will look at you, and even though they're telling you 8.29, they will work with you and see how best they can afford you the opportunity to own your own home. So don't just limit yourselves to NHT. Explore joint financing. And it doesn't mean that you need to go to these institutions, NCB, BNS, and then run down to NHT. You can go to one place, and they will now explore your NHT benefits and now take you through the processes. There are also mortgage brokers that you can get yourself acquainted with, right? They will now do the work for you, and guess what? They don't charge you. If you come to me and ask me to find a house for you, I am not going to charge you because we're not paid by the buyers. The mortgage companies, they are not paid by the individual seeking the financing. Right? So they will help you to find the best scenario, the best interest rates in the market for you. But as buyers, there are other things that we need to prepare ourselves for. You have to save. If you have a goal of buying a home, it's not just that you're going to wake up tomorrow and have money and can buy the house. You have to prepare for home ownership. Therefore, you have to save. You have to put something aside every month and not spend it and say, well, I'll recoup that when it's time to buy a house. You have to get in the habit of saving towards your future, saving towards your goals. So you have to have a little savings. If you're going to take onto yourself a spouse, you want to come to the table with something so that jointly it's not a burden on one person, but together we can pool our resources, because I had some before, you had some before. Let us come together now and see how we can get the best possible home for ourselves and subsequently for our families. There's a component that many persons ignore, which is called maintenance. And for those of you who own your own homes, there's a cost of the gardening and the help and so forth. When you're in an apartment or a gated community for security, there's a thing called maintenance, which is a monthly charge. And you may have to pay maintenance of $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 every month for the security at the gate and for the grass that is well kept and all of these things. When you are looking for a property, you have to take that into consideration, because on top of your mortgage, you will also have these maintenance charges. And if you can barely meet your mortgage, then you may not be able to meet your maintenance. And if you can't meet your maintenance, unfortunately, they will try to sell your unit under you to try and recover that money, and you're out of a home after all of that. So always know, what will it take after I move into my home? What will it take to maintain my house? What will it take to maintain my apartment? And be prepared for that. Transportation is also crucial when looking to purchase, believe it or not. I've seen many persons buying a house for $6 million, $7 million, and they live all the way in Old Harbor. And they have to pay toll, gas, wear and tear. When you add up all of that money on a monthly basis, you could have been closer to Kingston where you work, or closer to where the kids go to school, and save that transportation and that toll cost and put that in affording a better home. Are we together? So when you're buying a home, just don't look for the prettiest home or for the society communities. Be practical for yourself. Understand, where do I work? Where do my kids go to school? Do I need to get up at 5 o'clock to beat the traffic? Because all of that, unfortunately, will take a toll on you. So you want to make sure that you're acquiring properties in a easily accessed, close to school, close to church, etc., etc. Bear those things in mind. And lastly, under the bio section, ensure that you work with a realtor, someone who will look out for your interest. They're not going to charge you. They're not going to push up the price. They're not doing any of that. They're looking out for your best interest and finding the best possible property. Real estate as a seller. So some of us do own our own homes. And the kids have all now gotten married and they're gone off, and you're in this big 5-bedroom house in Meadowvale in Kingston, and you can't maintain it. Some of the bedrooms you don't even see in about 4 months. Right? Do not hold on to that necessarily if you don't have to. Because what you can do is downsize. So instead of living in a 5-bedroom monstrosity and barely making it up the stairs, get something a little bit more practical. Right? Get something a little bit more practical and get a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, a bedroom for your spouse, a bedroom for when the kids come to visit, and a bedroom for a friend when they come to visit. But not 5 bedrooms at 2 you're not even going to see for days, for months. So sometimes we have to upsize. But the cycle continues, because you start at your apartment, then you get a townhouse, and then you're going upstairs and downstairs, and then you get your family a bit going to a house. But then the kids gone off now and they're getting their own apartment and join the cycle. Then you know you need to go back to the townhouse. But the stairs might not be helping you out, so you have to get a ground floor apartment, and then you live comfortably. But a lot of us go to the top and then we get in trouble. So make sure that you understand some of those dynamics as a seller. And when you're trying to sell your property, these are some important points. When you're trying to sell your property, always bear in mind that you're not selling it to yourself. You're going to be selling it to someone who is interested in your property. Therefore, do not do things that are your taste and then go to market. Some of us may put in the best tiles and say, you know what, I'm going to sell this house, and so I'm going to change out the tiles. I'm going to change out the windows. I'm going to repaint. And purple is my favorite color. This room is going to be all purple. This one is going to be red, right? And then when somebody comes now, they say, okay, so I want my place to be neutral colors, peach, so I'm going to have to spend $200,000 for paint over the whole place. Your asking price is now compromised by $200,000 because they now have to repaint the place. Boy, I don't like these tiles, you know, them too. I don't like these tiles. I want better tiles. I'm going to have to rip out all of that. But guess what? You have already spent all your money doing all of that. How are you going to get back your money when they're starting to cut down your price because of what they have to do? When you're going to market to sell your property, what you want to do is to present it in the best possible way without expending money, because they are going to put in their own monies. And here's another tip. If you have a leak, and it's a little leak, it probably costs you $20,000 to fix it. It's better that you find the $20,000 and fix a leak than for someone to come and see the leak and say the whole roof have to go change. When buyers are looking for properties, you know, they're looking for any way they can do to ball down the price. And them look still one little drop of water, a $20,000 thing, or a toilet bowl that is everly running, and all you need to do is buy $700 to get a flopper ball, and it stops running. When they come and see that toilet running, the whole bathroom have to be retrofitted. So I'm going to have to take off $300,000 because I go redo the bathroom, and it was $700 that you needed to do to change the mindset of that buyer. So as a seller, always ensure that you're not overdoing what you need to do to go to market, because the property that you're now spending and having to sell for $17 million, you can only get 14 for it, or you can only get 13. Who is going to give you the additional $4 million? So be very smart when doing some of those things. If you own your own home and you want to go solar, NHT has benefits for solar water heater. Just the water heater. You can get a cheap loan to get the water heater in. If you want solar, you want to not pay light bill and interest and all of that on the high charges, and you want to go solar, NHT can offer you low interest loans to take care of solar and solar only. So water heater in one case and solar for the entire house. So you have these panels on top of your house and you're generating electricity from the sun. And sometimes you may have more than what you need. You can sell JPS and JPS will buy it for you, from you. So if you are in that sort of spirit and you have those sort of resources, explore with NHT some of these opportunities to transform your home into solar efficiency and be able to be off the grid, as it were, and not pay JPS, but now sustain yourself by the light that God Almighty has given us. Amen? All right. Sometimes when we're selling our properties, we get a little bit greedy. I bought this house when I just started to work and I paid $4 million for it. And all of a sudden, right, you want $20 million for the property because you put in nice tiles and you put in French windows and you have this and AC, and you want $20 million for your property when you paid $4 million. Now the time value of money is also a factor that you have to consider, because what you paid $4 million for then is not $4 million today. So there will be some variations, but sometimes we get a little bit greedy and we want to kill the next person that comes along that needs that start that you got when you paid $4 million. If you do not, as Christians, as Adventists, if you do not have to overprice your products, and in this case, as I'm speaking to you, your house, do not go down that road. God wants us to be honest and do things the right way. So the same way I got my little humble start, I may want to give that young person at my church that humble start. And it's not taking anything off of me, because I'm on my way out. And it's the end time, so we only have a few more days, so I just need to be comfortable. And you're not going to be foolish to have a loss. You're not going to buy it for $4 million value this and you spend all this money and you're going to sell it for less because you want to be Christian-like. We have to be practical, right? So, but what I'm advising you to not do is to overspend or to overprice your properties when selling the properties. No, not all of us will be fortunate to own a home before end time. There's no shame in renting. Renting is actually a form of home ownership. And let me tell you, there are many CEOs in Jamaica who do not own a home. They rent. Guess why? They don't have to pay all of this gardener, all of this maintenance, right? Them just rent and everything is taken care of. They don't have to worry about property taxes. They don't have to worry about all manner of things. They rent and rent all their lives and move from this property to another property. So there's no shame in renting. You remember when I started, I said to turn your own key? I'd rather turn my own key to get into my rental property than to be knocking on somebody's door and say, I can catch on the side here. So I reach home, now beg a little squeeze around the side. So rental is a form of home ownership, but I will tell you, as a practitioner in the business for over 20 years, many of us do not portray ourselves as Christians when renting. We are not faithful in our obligations, and we are sometimes deceitful in how we portray ourselves to our landlords. That's a reflection on you and also a reflection on your church. And we have to be examples everywhere that we live. So guess what? You see, if you can't meet the rent this month and you're going to be a week or two late, don't tell them, say, your granny's sick or country and you have to go down there. Just tell them, I'm asking you for another week or two to come up with my rent. I'm not trying to hide from you. Be honest in our dealings. Communicate. But when you start to dodge and you come late night and early morning before the landlord wake up and say, 5 weeks now, she don't live here anymore, and you're dodging, that's not Christian-like. When you're looking for a place to rent, you have to present yourself as the best tenant so that they can say, you know what, when I give my house to Howard, he's going to take care of it like it is his own. You know what that will do? After 1 year, and you need to sign the lease again for another year, they may not change the rent. Because they don't have to come in and fix up a whole heap of things after the damage, because you took care of the property. So they're not going to increase the rent on you. They're going to say, you're such a good tenant. Continue paying the same rent, man, as long as you keep on watering my flowers and you keep the place nice and clean. That's what we are to do as Christians. Not do the others as I described earlier, because that's not how we are to operate as Christians. Make sure that you protect the person's asset, you make timely payments, you communicate when necessary. So that's tenancy. And the last component that I want to touch on is real estate as an investment. Real estate as an investment. So you own your own home, but you have a little bit more resources left over that you want to know how to utilize this money. I can tell you can't lose off of real estate. You cannot lose off of real estate. You can only increase your asset base. But you have to be very smart. Sometimes you hear people say, boy, I want X amount of rent. I want $100,000 a month for rent. But to get that, you have to buy a property for about $50 million to get $100,000 a month for rent. Sometimes you have to subsidize the mortgage. But you know what is also an investment option, an opportunity? Buy something half the price and get a little bit more than $50,000, which is half the $100,000. So you spend probably $8 million and you're earning $70,000. Do you know that that $8 million and earning $70,000 is a better investment than $50 million and earning $100,000? Think about it. And I don't want to take up much time with the maths, because I see Pastor Griffiths, how him do that maths, right? I will work that out when you contact us or any other realtor that you're comfortable with, right? But you have to be smart when investing. I have persons who are calling me, I need something to earn $100,000, and I have to show them things for $20 million. I had a cousin that told me she wanted to invest in Jamaica, and I showed her something for $10 million, and she's renting to an athlete and collecting $1,000 every month off of our $10 million investment. And to get that now, you have to spend almost $18-20 million to get that. So you have to understand when and how to seize the opportunities, not just buy a property so without wisdom or guidance as to what will happen. Sometimes you buy into a community, and in no time the community that was looking good started to turn on you. And all of a sudden your property is not what you thought it should be. Sometimes you're sandwiched in between two homes, and you can't sit left nor right because they've gone 2 stories. When the rules say you can only have a 1 story, but they have breached the law because there's no governance, there's nobody to say it, you can't do that, and them gone upstairs on the left and gone upstairs on the right, and every time you look out your window, it's concrete. Right? Be in the know, be advised as to where are the best opportunities for investment. And a lot of persons watch TV and they see these fixer-uppers and these buy and change out this. Those are golden opportunities. Unfortunately, in Jamaica, we don't have the turnaround time that they can buy today and sell tomorrow and make $20,000 US or $1 million Jamaican. Because there's something that it is in our sides all the time, which is something called transfer tax. So when you buy that house and you pay your taxes, if you're to sell 2 days later, you have to go pay 7.5 at least for transfer tax. So your money gone down by 7.5%. So maybe what you need to do is to fix it up, rent it out for a little while. After you have recouped some money, then you sell the property. But some of us make the mistake and buy it and change the carpet and change the tiles and say, I'm going to sell it back. And when you do the maths, but this never makes sense. Because we didn't sell at the right time. We were too hasty. Now you may see a nice house in Vineyard Town, a very, very good community. And many of you might be saying, Vineyard Town? Me no want to live in Vineyard Town. Me want to go Havendale and Meadowbrook. Right? Vineyard Town is one of the prime communities in Jamaica. And you can get into Vineyard Town without spending the Cherry Gardens money. And that's a community that is now re-emerging as one of the premier communities in Jamaica. And if you go in and buy a house that is not in good condition and you are able to put in ceramic tiles instead of terrazzo tiles or the red dirt tile, and you can change out the window from the wooden window and put in window that bring light into the place, and you paint it a nice cupboard color, and you change the grass from the little thing where maca juki all the time, and you put on some nice grass, and you hold that property for a year or 2. I can assure you that after the year or 2 after renting, you may want to move in yourself. And what is happening in downtown makes Vineyard Town even more relevant, because persons are going to be moving to these big buildings, these headquarters that are going downtown. So you're going to get rental income because people want to live closer to downtown rather than taking the traffic through halfway tree to come to work. Why not buy a 1-bedroom apartment downtown in the Ocean Towers? An attorney would love to get something like that so he doesn't have to travel all the distance to get something. I hear attorney. Do I hear an attorney here? Oh, and she just doesn't want to encounter the traffic. But that's what they're looking for. Remember earlier I said when you buy, you want to buy close to where you're living. When you're renting, you want to rent where you're close to where you work. So when you're buying something for investment, make sure that that place can be fully occupied at all times, because 1 month of not collecting rent can put you in trouble with the mortgage company. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and my sisters, real estate is a golden opportunity for you. Many of us would love to get involved in real estate, but we all are involved in real estate, because from you come out of under your roof this morning, you're involved in real estate. Either you rent it or you own the property, but you turn your own keys, right? Real estate is a viable option, and as Adventists, as Christian persons, God wants us to prosper and be in good health. He doesn't want us to be shacking up. He doesn't want us to be catching here and there. He wants us to live comfortably. And I'll reiterate that comfortable does not mean a 5-bedroom in a gated community. It can be a 1-bedroom in a nice space, depending on your circumstances and your resources. And let me tell you, when you come to me, if you do come to me or any real estate agent and say you want something to find where you can't find where the money coming from, I will help you. We will help you to explore some of these options. But guess who is in control? And that's my last point. Guess who is in control? You just need to turn your hymn to hymn number 468, to the song that says, I'm a child of the King. What's the first line, Pastor Griffiths? No, man, I'm not hearing it. What the first line say? Houses and land, prime real estate. Anywhere you want to live, is your father own it? You just want to ask somebody down here if he just give you a small, so just finance it down here because it's him own it. So you just collect the money to go pay for it. So you have to have faith. You have to trust in God that he will make a way where there seems to be no way, because it's him own everything. I am just trying to sell pieces of it to keep myself alive. But when you are ready for your home, ladies and gentlemen, do not shortchange yourself. Look for the opportunities that are available to you and make the best decisions for yourselves and for your family. I thank you very much for paying attention to this presentation this morning, and I wish you all the best. Continue to enjoy the camp meeting. God bless you all.
I think we have all heard it, and we want to say thanks. Are there any questions? Yes?
Okay, the question was whether or not you have benefited from NHT priorly, or you own your own home. Right. If you own your own home, you are not going to be able to get a benefit for first-time homeowners. So that $5.5 million that I told you about earlier that persons can qualify for, if you own your own home, or if you are on, your name is on a title, you are not going to benefit from that particular loan. But there are other benefits that you can enjoy from the NHT, such as the NHT, the solar that I mentioned, home improvement loans, and the refund, etc. They can put those things towards other benefits from the NHT, but you will not get the homeowners, first-time homeowner buyers benefit. Getting a loan from NHT, no you won't. And here's something I want to caution the parents again. Sometimes we are looking down the road and we want to protect our children, and you buy a house and you put your child name on the title, right? You may be inconveniencing them, because when they get to the stage where they need to now buy and benefit from said NHT, they can't get the loan because their name is already on the title. I will let you know, though, that the NHT is looking into that, and if there's justifiable reason where there was negligence and you really didn't know, and they're not the primary or the secondary persons, they may make an exception to accommodate that, but you have to prove that you did not want, and you cannot pass it on to them, etc., and then they can now get their own loan. So the NHT would work with persons, they're looking into that, but they have worked with persons who have their children, they put them as baby, right? But when they're not old, they say, no, your name on a title, they can't get it. They will look at it because if you were there as an infant, you didn't have a say. And they will look at trying to grant you the benefit just the same. Yes?
Me?
Yes, go ahead, Pastor.
Yes. All right. Two things, two questions. The first one, the home improvement loan, how much is it?
That is up to $5 million home improvement loan, but you can only qualify for that after 15 years of receiving a benefit from NHT.
At what percent?
I'm not sure the percent because they're going to look at your salary base and determine your percentage based on your ability to repay, but they are very, very low interest rates, lower than any bank that you can go to.
All right, next question.
Yes.
The 7.5% transfer tax
Yes.
that you mentioned. The context in which you mentioned it seemed to give the impression that if you sell the property now, you have to pay it. I mean, shortly after you buy it, you have to pay it. But if you keep it for a good period of time, you don't? Or you pay a lower rate?
No. The context that I was putting it into is looking at the rate of your income after you would have sold the property. So just to explain the 7.5%, as the seller, you are the only person who pays transfer tax, and you must pay that when disposing of your property, whether it's today, tomorrow, 2 years, 3 years. It's a tax that must be paid by the seller. I was only using it in the scenario where if you're looking to flip a house, you want to sell the next day or the next month, you will have to pay that. So you may not have recouped 7.5% increase in the value of the property that you have acquired. So you may want to earn some more money
over the
before,
short
but
term.
whenever you decide to sell your home, you will be faced with that 7.5%.
Beautiful. I just need to say a word of commendation to the conference leadership for coming up with something like this at camp meeting instead of all spiritual matters. They are it's the right move at the right time.
Amen. Amen. The sister in front of you had a question. And yes.
You mentioned something earlier about a person, like a couple coming together, right? And two person working, it makes it easier to request to qualify for a home. What about if it is one person? Probably the other person income is not so much that you will be qualified to meet the other person.
Okay. If two persons come together, you are entitled to a maximum of $5.5 million each, which together is $11 million. But say, for instance, you are in a better job than the other person, and that person may or may not be salaried, but they can show proof of income. No matter the income, there's going to be something that they can qualify for from NHT. So NHT recently announced opportunities for even household helpers, persons of the lower bracket. They can qualify. They may not get as much as 5.5, but they may get $1 million or 1.5. They may get 2 million, depending. But they have to now show proof of that income. You may not have a salary slip, but you can say, see my bank every 2 weeks, every fortnight, I put $20,000 in there. They will look at that 20,000 recurring deposit and then tell you how much you can qualify from NHT. So the together is not an automatical 11 million, it's up to $11 million, but you can get depending on the strength of the earnings of both individuals.
And if it's one person?
If it's one person, you'll get your 5.5, but the person can be added to the title nonetheless, even though they have not contributed from the title.
Oh, one more question.
Yes.
Sometimes you have some abandoned home, like it's just there not being used, but sometimes NHT, I know that they will have contact with those homes that you can just do repair on them. It's not newly refurnished home.
Right.
What about those homes?
We have to be very cautious as to when we see those vacant homes, because sometimes we may make assumptions that, I can just go in here and I can occupy it, or I'll get a loan to buy it. NHT is going to look at the ownership of that property before they assist you in buying something that is already bought or is in a different condition. But yes, you can find homes that are in the ready conditions that the NHT, if they are satisfied that you have the ability to restore that home, because somebody may have started to build and they cannot finish it. But if you can show that you can acquire it, you can get it to a certain level, if they are satisfied, they will give you a loan towards purchasing a home such as that. Sometimes you will see other opportunities where the bank has an owner who cannot afford the property anymore and they have just left it up. It's now called a private treaty listing, meaning that the bank NHT now owns it, and they will give you a loan for a property that they own, but they may not give you a loan for something that they do not own because they cannot validate the title situation.
So is it that you will help us to identify that home, or we have to identify that
No,
home?
the first step in home ownership is to identify your spending power. That means you can speak to the realtor, such as myself or anybody else, and they will now work with you to seek financing so that when you do find the house, all your monies are in place. Because sometimes we make the mistake, sure, Howard said we can get $11 million, so show me something for $13 million. And then when you go to NHC, they say, no, you can only get 8. We need to know that, because you're now looking for something outside of a particular price range. Or again, as I mentioned, some person will come to us and say, we have $6 million. But then when I show you how you can earn or get better benefits, you're now looking for something for $11 million. So we don't want to waste time just working in a vacuum. We want to work with what you have in your hand, which is a document, which is called a pre-qualification letter from a financing institution to tell us how much you can afford. And then as realtors, we now go searching for a property of that nature.
One thing just came to me. If you're a colporteur, if you're a colporteur.
My sister, allow somebody else. Give somebody else a chance. Sorry. Give somebody else a chance. Yes. Come, ask your question. Go ahead, Pastor.
Yeah, Brother Johnson. Just want to thank you for the enlightenment.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
You guys have made me much wiser now. Well, let's say you have your son or your daughter, and you're 65, going up, or you're about to retire, and your daughter is, say, 20 or 25 or 30, and you're going to join with him or her. What is the situation in terms of age in that respect, in terms of paying back the mortgage?
The NHC will look at the primary person being the one that is younger in age, because that will allow you to know the length of time they will have to pay back the loan. So unfortunately, if the person is 65 and they're going to be the primary, your loan is probably going to be for 5 years at maximum, and your interest and principal is going to be so much that it may be unable to afford the loan. However, if you took the 20-year-old who has now 45 years before retirement or 50, then they will now use that person as a primary. The parent can now give the benefit and be a part of the title ownership, and there's a section for parent assist at age 65 if you have not used your benefit, and you can pass that on or work along with your children to acquire their own home, but you will not be the primary person at age 65.
What there's a cutoff point in terms of the age?
70 for men, and
70.
I think 65 for women.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm so happy to know that we have a real estate guru among our brethren. There are 3 or 4 questions that were asked a while ago that has some commonality. And as a former member of the board of the NHT, I want to make sure that you don't leave with a misconception.
Right.
Howard spoke about it, but I'm going to re-emphasize it, and I'm going to use exactly what Pastor Mark just said a while ago. The issue of adding someone's name to the application, just to qualify for you to buy something that is more expensive, for want of a better word. You need to be very cautious. I need you to be very careful, because I've seen incidents like the one that Pastor Mark just spoke about, where that was done, and then the person who was younger, who was the focus person anyway, decided that, but that's not what I wanted, I now want my benefit. And in such matters, the board going to tell you no. Because you're going to, to get that agreement, it has to go to the board. It has to be a board approval. The managers can't approve it, because you got a benefit already, and your name is already on a title. So don't just add the people them name because you just want to add them name because you want to qualify. And I've seen cases where 2 sisters do it, and then 5 years pass, and the other one wants to go and get our own.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, matters like that, the board will tell you no.
Correct. Correct.
So you need to be very When the other person now wants to get a benefit to buy a house, you're going to find that you're stuck with that situation.
Pastor, just to put it into perspective, the example that Mr. Young is using, 65 and 20. At 20, he put the child's name on the title because they wanted to buy the family home. Daughter gets to 25, 28, finds a husband, wants to purchase their own home. She will not get the benefit because she's on the title for the family home when she was 20 and not when she was an infant. You see the difference? The infant as opposed to when she was of age and her name is on a title. So where the board may overlook the infant, they will not overlook the 20-year-old.
Yes. And then we had a lot of examples where people were, for want of a better word, which might not sound politically correct, living above their means, and you dealt with it perfectly. And they decided that I have a cousin, a brother, three of us can get together, and we buy a house. And it turns out that it's only one of them really earning. You now have a difficulty paying the mortgage, but it will impair all three. Are you with me? So those decisions must be up front. They must understand the implication. They must understand that you don't get another benefit, even the normal benefit after 15 years. Much less you to assume that, okay, since I'm not the one paying the mortgage, my name is just there, I can now apply for NHTU. You need to be very upfront with yourself and upfront with your family members or whosoever when you're making that decision. It may come back and bite you.
And just so, before I take the question here, when you're doing that sort of transaction with persons just coming on the title for putting it on the title's sake, ensure that you understand how it's going to be impacted, because if that person or the mortgage falls into into arrears and you are now looking to go and finance a property on your own, your credit report will show that the property that your name is on the title, even though you pay your half, or you paid all of the mortgage, if that property goes into a bad state, you may be compromised in purchasing again because you already have bad credit on this side. And when I speak of credit, it applies to even your courts payments. If you take out big furniture, 8-piece set, and 15 burner stoves, and you can't manage the payment, and you don't want to buy a house after you done rent, to put that same stove in and they bring up your credit report and they say that you missed 3 payments, of course, you may not get the mortgage. Credit is a big thing in Jamaica now, and we have to be very careful and be mindful that we need to do things the right way, make your payments on time so that it does not affect your credit.
Okay, thank you. I want to applaud you for your presentation.
Thank you very much,
I join with Pastor what he says. But I just want to ask a quick question.
Sure.
I have a relative that is going to try to get a house, purchase a house that is first. I want to know where he can get in touch with you to help him out.
All right. Just if you have a paper, I did not do this for any promotion. I was just asked to present. But if you need to get in touch with me, you can reach me at 383-4656. That's my cell number, 383-4656. I have some business cards. When I leave, I can pass them out, and you can get in touch with me at that time.
That's it. Brother Johnson, you may not know, but if you need to find him, please attend the Meadowvale Seventh-day Adventist Church where he's a member. I got his permission, that's why I can say it. I know that he's a member. We are from Meadowvale Church.
Good and regular standing, yes. We are available, even if you're not looking to purchase a home and you just need some advice, right? We will work with you, we will help you. We're not turning anybody away, and no question is a dumb question. And I would say, fortunately, because of the principles in which my company was founded, all our agents are Christian-based. They may not be Seventh-day Adventists, although we have about 3 or 4 Adventists that works at my firm. But once you come into Johnson, Benjamin and Associates, you will be treated like family. And we will ensure that you are in the right hands. It may not be my hands, but you may be you may be placed with an agent that will be able to assist you with your home ownership dreams or your real estate needs. Are there any questions? If no, okay, I was just advised to put in a plug for those persons who are self-employed, and this may come across to the call porters as well. If you are self-employed and you are not salaried, what you can do is volunteer to contribute to the NHT. You volunteer, so you go and make your payments yourself to the NHT instead of an automatic deduction. As well, if you are self-employed, make sure that you can account for all your earnings. Don't just collect it and buy something here, so buy something there. Put it in a bank account where you can show that you got paid and it went somewhere, because if not, you're going to say, I got paid $20,000. Where did you put it? I went down to the supermarket, I spent $5,000. They're not going to take your word for it. So deposit into a bank account so that they can prove your earnings and your regular deposit as self-employed person. You don't have a pay slip. So you have to show that you have collected earnings. So if you're a tradesman, a farmer, when you get your monies, lodge it into a bank account so that you can show that you regularly earn this money. Even though you take it back out and spend, better to put it in a bank account, then take it out. Because if you take it out and then put the left in the bank account and say, we can only go by what we can see that you put into your bank account, and you don't want to compromise yourself where that is concerned.
Yeah, a scenario was painted earlier,
yes,
where two sisters decided to put together to buy a house, and
yeah,
one sister, after 5 years, wanted to purchase her own property.
Right.
I don't know if you can speak to this scenario. It's something similar, kind of similar.
Sure.
The two brothers put money together. Well, the main brother had he had about 75% money to buy the property, and the brother had the other 25%. It so happened that the both brothers now the situation has become contentious.
Yes.
Now the brother who has the 75% made the mistake of putting the brother's name on the title and wants to get rid of him off the title, but based on what I don't remember who said it, based on what the agent said, it's not going to be possible now to get rid of his name. How can you do with a situation like that?
Okay, I wouldn't say it's a mistake that he put the brother's name with 25% on the title, because maybe for some reason or the other, they have to show that they both made a contribution to that property, and therefore it's noted on the title that my brother and I, we bought this house. Whether it's 25 and 75, we bought this house. But not because the one that have the 75% vexed with the one that have 25% say, well, I'm going to kick you off for the title, because that cannot be done. The only way it can be done is if the person at 25 will be now satisfied either by compensation or some means necessary to say, I will give up my 25%. And not only that, there will be a transfer tax fee to get that person off to now have it in one person's name, which may not make economic sense. So if the 25% owner say, now come off, there's unfortunately nothing you can do. So another hand, Mr. Chair.
No, I'm not the chairman today. There is a particular loan also that we always have a lot of problem with on the board, and it's the one that is referred to as the build and own land.
Build and own land, yes.
And I'm going to try to explain what the challenges usually are. You first get the part of the loan to acquire the land. Now, quite often, well, everybody wants to live on the hill. Everybody wants to live on the hill, and everybody wants to live, and nothing is wrong with that. But you have to understand that what the NHT is going to require from you is that whatever you're going to get the balance of the loan for, and even when you combine two persons together, and I've seen some go as far as, apart from buying the land, they get up to 11, 12 million. Whatever you're going to use that money for must be completely habitable.
Yes.
So if you bought a piece of property on the hill that is like this, then it's going to require a lot of infrastructure before you even start building the structure. And there are a lot of issues with that because, and recently I wrote engineering reports for 2. And about 5 years ago, I encouraged the owners to reject about 3. And those owners went elsewhere and found better land, cheaper. At least one of them did that, and one found a house that needed some fixing up, and fix it up. And what they did that for, even if they got 3 times the NH3 loan, they would not be able to make that land habitable. Are you understand what I'm saying? So when you're choosing the land and you know that is the NHT that you're going to go to, you need to be very careful. Maybe it's better you go and find an old house and fix it up, or you choose something else, and when in the future you can do it, but you would be stuck with it. And you have a lot of situations like this. They buy land in Belvedere, buy land, and the land is like this. The money would be lost in the foundation and the infrastructure. You understand what I'm saying?
I know time is now against us. Oh, no? Okay, we can take some more questions. Yes, it's my sister.
Let me go up.
I would like to suggest to those of us who are listening to go back to their churches and have this kind of presentation replicated, because so often things happen to us, and if we had sat in a seminar like this, it could make a difference. Yes. I am not saying that it will be Howard, but there are more persons in CWD and others that Howard can point us to. And I'd like to suggest that you don't make it a one church, because you bleed when you have to run around to 100 and odd churches. You make it districts combined, gather the people, and let us see how we can educate the persons, just like how I hear sentiments being communicated that this is good. We would like the rest of the constituency in EJC to get this that is good. So you have got numbers, and if you don't get number, you can call the president, go through the pastors, and let us have something more informative going forward in 2018, instead of just having AY and sometimes you don't even know what is being said or done. Young people could benefit from much of the presentations. No, I might have said something wrong. Instead of having AY, that's not what I mean. You understand? Instead of having unplanned programs in the afternoon, which is what happens in many churches, let's use the ones that can be entertained during the Sabbath hours and do something different, moving past Vesper with those. But it's time that we move up to something more, because our young people are not really very satisfied with us seniors from morning till evening and nothing happens to them. So please, let's see what we can do to improve 2018.
I like that comment. Myself and my team, we stand ready to help our brothers and sisters. And I will tell you, I serve on many committees, private sector and public sector. But my favorite committee is a conference-wide development committee. You know why? This is an opportunity for me to take an not so usual professional or industry and use that method and that tool to empower my brothers and my sisters to make good decisions where home ownership is concerned. Not only that, as CWD, we look at the quality and the structures and stuff of your own church. So whereas we're telling our brethren about home ownership, as leaders, elders and pastors of our respective churches, make sure we treat the home of God the same way we would need to treat our homes, because some of our churches are not being maintained properly, and it poses a problem to the constituency and to the administration to get the church back up to a position where we can worship and worship comfortably. Let us pay attention to the structure, to the acquisition, to the maintenance of our churches like we would do for ourselves. So we will welcome the opportunity to go and speak to all our members in any format, churches, district. That's what I love to do. I gave up my time today because this would be more important than any other thing that I had to do, save and except for my family. Because
excuse me,
yes, sir. No, a gentleman has the mic. Let me just take his question and I'll come to you, ma'am.
We just want to ask an important question towards a building construction. Say that you have a building that you already start and not able to finish or complete it. Or you go about getting a loan towards completion of that building.
Okay, NHT can assist you to a point, but you have to go to some of the more conventional building societies or credit union to assist you to finish something that you have already started. What they do at times is to look at what you have, where you have gotten, and quantify the asset that you have put in out of your pocket. So you come up with a one room and you come up with a one bathroom and you come up with half of the kitchen. That comes at a value. So you already have asset that you can borrow against, provided that the title is in your name. Not a squatter, not a squatter piece of property, right? Because they're not going to look at that. If you own the land and you started to build out of your pocket, you have now put sweat and tears, and that is an asset that you can borrow against. They will also look at a plan that is approved. The plan has to be approved to know where you're going. And if they see that, okay, if I give him this money and he gets to this end, the property will value $10 million. So I may give him a loan up to probably a percentage of that $10 million, coupled with what you have put in, and probably give you incrementally as you go along, because they want you to ultimately get to the $10 million. A lot of persons make the mistake of trying to get the loan, thinking that they're going to get $10 million. And when they get the $10 million, now they buy an X5 and then go to Florida and all over the place with the $10 million that was used or given to get to a particular level. That's why they'll give you in incremental phases to know that you're following a path to get to where you ultimately need to get. But they will give you up to a percentage of the ultimate value, and coupled with the asset that you already have, which includes the land that belongs to you.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, all that you're saying is not too bad, but I'm saying the Sabbath day is not to promote anything like this. We all need places and advices, but not on the Sabbath day. It's best to invite the young people to camp in, because most of them are on holidays and all of that. So it's not for AY. We are doing too much things on the Sabbath that we ought not to do. Giving out trophies and giving promotion is not for the Lord's Day.
Yes.
The Sabbath AY is to promote children, to evangelize, learn them how to sing, to go and preach, and to do other things. Is not for this. So I totally disagree with what you're saying. And Sister Genos is my good friend, but I don't agree. And no,
I agree with what you're saying, and I think the message was probably misrepresented.
Yes, you are. She's my
what
good
she's
friend.
trying to communicate.
I admire her, but not in AY time.
Yes, we get your point, sister. What we're trying to say is that there are opportunities shortly after Vespers where we can get people into the youth room and we help them with lifestyle information. We want to empower them with how to buy. Yes, some things can be done during the Sabbath, but you can't get into the nitty-gritty with some of these things that we're discussing. We can give probably best guidelines, best practices as how to prepare yourselves as Christian for this journey, but we can't go into that. But we normally make these presentations at a youth forum on Saturday night when you can get everybody together. They may have expos where we will take a booth and we come to your church and we will have a consultation seminar, that sort of thing. So we take the point about the reverence on the Sabbath, but we are mindful that we still want the message to be communicated, and we will do it so at the appropriate time in the appropriate setting. All right? Yes.
You would agree with me that there is a lot of workers in Jamaica who contribute to NHT 18, 20, 30 years. But at the same time, even though that loan is there, which you just mentioned that we can get from the NHT towards our home, they cannot find. There is a condition that apply, and those poor workers, they cannot able to come up with the money that needed.
Deposit and closing costs.
Yes, they still can't get a home. I am very disturbed by that kind of policy. They mentioned from time to time. I am one of them. I've been working over the years, but I am not living in a house that I got from NHT. And it's very disturbing. I know that I'm qualified, as what they said, but I can't get through. I can get through because I do not have the money to pay for.
How long ago was that? Can you recall?
Pardon me?
How long ago did you last speak to the NHT? Can you recall?
Well, it's a long time.
A good ride. Yeah. Why I ask how long? Because now the NHT is looking at even 100% financing. Once you're qualified and you can buy an NHT home, they will give you 100% financing for homes that they, the NHT, have built. Now, even if you're buying a house that is not NHT built and you can't come up with the 5% or the 10% deposit, there may be other opportunities within the same NHT to get back some of your contribution as a grant to help you with the deposit, right? But when we're going down home ownership road, I mentioned something in my presentation about savings and preparation. We have to have a little something to let them know that you're not just trying to sponge off of us and relying on us only. Tell me, what do you have to come up with anything to help us? You may say, I only have $10,000, ma'am. All right, you have something. We will finance the balance. And when I say savings, look at saving with your credit union as well. Because credit unions are giving mortgages for their members. And they're giving them at rates that are lower than the building societies. Not as low as NHT, but they're giving you lower than the building society. So there are other ways in which you can mix and match and find resources to help you to acquire your home. And if you need more information, I'll be more than happy to sit with you or to point you in the right direction at some of these institutions that can help you to finance your home.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. We can give her another chance? Yes, sir.
One question.
And then, yeah, I'll come to you.
All right. I want to use this scenario. What if both persons bought a home, right? But they have a certain amount of children, and they only had probably two children to the title. They didn't add the rest of the children to the title because you know it's expensive. But they only had 2 children to the title, 2 or 3 children to the title. In that case, only the children that are added to the title have say concerning the home. What about those who have not been added to the title?
That is now what we call an estate matter, because not just the title will have the names, but there may be another document that is signed by all family members to say that we all have equal share. Although Johnny and Mary are on the title, we all have equal share, and that document now will govern how the estate is managed or disposed of. So not because the names are there, so I don't know the details of that scenario, but that estate matters, that's normally dealt with by attorneys who will look at the information that is available surrounding the management of that property. So I can't just go by the title, the names on the title, because there may be another document that speaks to how it must be divided amongst the 5, the 6 children.
So if any decision is to be made in regards to the home, they will take all of those things in consideration before they do anything.
An attorney would need to guide you and represent your interest in the property.
Okay,
right?
then, thanks.
I have a question over here. It's okay. Any other?
Yes, if you have cleared your mortgage and receive your refund, someone who is retired from NHT, can you still get any benefit via loan?
If you have gotten a loan, a home ownership loan from the NHT, and you have already gotten your benefit, no, you will not benefit for any like loan, but there are other benefits such as solar loans, etc., and home improvement after 15 years. Those are other loans that you can get, but once you have gotten your benefit, whether you got it at 3.5 and it gone out to 5.5 and you say, can't get the other 2 million, you can't get the other 2 million because a one-time benefit that all of us are entitled to. And once you have benefited once for a home ownership loan, you will not be able to benefit again, save and except for home improvement loan, which is sometime down the road, or any other services that are not applicable to acquiring the property.
Yes, and that will end at age 65 for a woman.
Correct, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Okay, I think I've heard from everybody. Again, I make myself available. You may contact me or contact the conference. They will put you onto myself and I will direct you to persons who will be able to help you with all your real estate needs. Again, I thank you very much for your time and do have a good remainder of the camp meeting.
Okay. Brother Stewart? Brother Grantley Stewart, are you here? Okay, we have come to the end of this session. I hope all of us are blessed and we got some information that we did not know. Now we have the information. It is now time for another seminar. I don't know. Sorry. Brother Wright, we are ready for you now. So, okay, brethren, God bless.
Is he here? This is Gina. Hey. No, he's not here.
Morning, everyone. Did you enjoy that presentation? All right. Only at camp meeting you get certain things like this. Exactly like this.